Good to see you again on our channel. This very day, shock rock legend Alice Cooper and Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne, had their long-standing differences revealed, shocking fans. Cooper and Osbourne have been lauded and compared as symbols of rock rebellion due to their dark characters, outlandish actions, and penchant for theatricality. However, behind the surface, their relationship is far more complex, characterized by jealousy, miscommunication, and a common battle to overcome both their fame and their inner demons. The disputes and shortcomings that have impacted their connected legacies are revealed by Osbourne's forthright admissions, which peel back the layers of their history. Consider two colossal rock icons vying for supremacy in an explosive genre. Alice Cooper and Ozzy Osbourne were trailblazers in theatrical rock, yet they frequently clashed due to their shared interests. As Cooper's wild antics on stage won over audiences and critics alike in the early years of Black Sabbath, Osbourne remembers feeling overshadowed. Cooper, according to Ozzy, is a motivating and frustrating force in his life. Alice, he conceded, was perpetually one step ahead. Envision Osbourne, hot off his historic Black Sabbath concert, perusing the news of Cooper's most recent startling stunt, a staged execution, with a boa constrictor crawling across his shoulders and wondering how he could ever compete. In 1982, Osbourne's notorious bat-biting incident occurred as a result of his escalating actions in response to the unspoken rivalry. Tensions between the two artists were building behind the scenes as spectators enjoyed the rivalry. It was more than just a work dispute. It had a personal dimension as well. Backstage at a festival in the mid-1970s, Osbourne and the other person got into a very intense argument. According to rumors, the ever-curious Cooper made fun of Osbourne for supposedly having too little stage production, comparing his performance to Cooper's excessive theatrics. The confrontation escalated into a yelling fight that almost ended in violence because Osbourne would not back down. Even though they made up in the end, the animosity stained their relationship. In addition to shedding light on their own difficulties, Ozzy's insights highlight Alice Cooper's numerous other struggles. Cooper had a reputation for causing trouble, both with his bandmates and influential people in the music business, despite his charisma and wit. Neil Smith, Glenn Buxton, Michael Bruce, and Dennis Dunaway were all members of the original Alice Cooper group that helped create the music and stage presence that propelled Cooper to stardom. Midway through the 1970s, though, tensions rose as Cooper's solo career took off. Consider the disappointment felt by the original band members as they saw Cooper's name equated with their music while their own efforts were downplayed. Cooper was accused by certain members of leaving them for fame and money during the 1975 tumultuous breakup. The scars never really healed, even if they did reconnect for periodic projects. There is still unfinished business and unrealized promise in the tale of the founding band. After the Alice Cooper Group joined with Frank Zappa's Straight Records label in 1969, Cooper had a falling out with more than just his bandmates. Zappa was a fan of Cooper's avant-garde style, but the two's creative goals sometimes clashed, and Cooper eventually felt unsupported by Zappa's hands-off approach, which prompted him to leave and find success with Warner Brothers Records. Underneath Alice Cooper's stage makeup, guillotine, and boa constrictor was a man battling horrors that dwarfed anything performed by an audience. The controlled anarchy of his rock character stood in sharp contrast to the tempest of addiction, loneliness, and broken relationships that consumed his life away from the stage. Imagine this. A man who captivates millions with his fearless embracing of darkness is sitting alone in a hotel room, surrounded by empty bottles instead of adoring admirers. Every sip is an aimless endeavor to calm the tempest within. By the late 1970s, Cooper's drinking had spiraled out of hand. What started as toasts to sold-out concerts rapidly became an addiction that could destroy everything he had worked for. His bandmates and friends remember a man who could rock a crowd 1 second and then break down in tears the next. In his personal life, he appeared to be consumed by the same boundless energy that propelled his legendary performances. He started his day with a shot of whiskey, often leading to vague memories of the night before. Envision the Tolman who thrived on entertaining, but who became a prisoner of his own identity as the distinctions between the real Vincent Fernieri and the fictional Alice Cooper became more and more blurry. In 1977, Cooper's decline hit rock bottom when he checked himself into a hospital for alcoholism. Death was staring him down in real life now, after he had danced with it so often on stage. Even after doctors told him his body couldn't handle his lifestyle, he continued to drink and use drugs. The fight was existential for Cooper, not merely physical. The man's career was founded on startling the world. How could he reveal his own vulnerability? The strain of Cooper's breakdown was most noticeable in his intimate relationships. A victim of his frenetic existence was his marriage to Cheryl Goddard, a dancer in his ornate theatrical performances. Picture her anguish as she saw her beloved, a magnetic rock star who ruled arenas, deteriorate into a reclusive, unstable individual engulfed in his vices. When Cooper's behavior started to spiral out of control in 1983, they were on the verge of divorcing. Goddard vowed to leave for good during heated disagreements that his friends said were exacerbated by his drinking. It was a rude awakening that Cooper had to face head-on. However, a glimmer of strength remained even in his darkest hours. Cooper sought treatment and started the long, arduous process of reclaiming his life after years of straining himself and his relationships to the limit. His sobriety, which he had fought so hard to maintain, became a source of immense pride for him. Imagine the change that takes place when a man whose life was formerly defined by disorder finds peace, gets back together with Cheryl, and rebuilds their relationship from the ground up. In a life frequently defined by excess and strife, it was an unusual triumph. A demonstration of Cooper's versatility as an entertainer and a person. The hardships that gave rise to Alice Cooper's persona were formative experiences that left an indelible mark on his career. He previously personified rock's wildest excesses, but his road to rehabilitation from addiction gives him a human side. An individual battling for his own existence, his relationships, and his sense of self lay beneath each astonishing performance. An already mysterious legacy is further enriched by Ozzy Osbourne's honest observations on Alice Cooper's life and work. Picture this: a man whose path was as eventful as it was revolutionary. He changed the face of rock music by using spectacle and shock as weapons. Cooper's personal life was characterized by fights just as dramatic as his theatrical performances, and his brilliant performances were sometimes overshadowed by dark disputes that tested his resilience. Instead of a narrative of effortless rise to fame, his life is a tapestry of ups and downs, where success and tragedy weave together to leave an indelible mark that is as unfiltered and relentless as his art. There were times of anxiety that could have derailment for every lofty accomplishment Cooper made. Rock music was taken to a whole new level, moving listeners emotionally and physically, thanks to his stage presence. But his obsession with new ideas frequently drove a wedge between him and his loved ones. Imagine the contradiction of a man who can bring thousands of people together in venues all around the world. However, he often found himself at conflict with his colleagues and even himself. All of Cooper's problems, from feuds behind the scenes to struggles with his own inner demons, were essential to his story and the creation of his art. Astoundingly, Alice Cooper's legacy has two sides. He is, on the one hand, lauded for being an innovator and a shock rock legend whose impact is felt in the live shows of bands like Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson. In contrast, difficulties that tested his mettle on the road to success exposed his frailty. This brings into sharp contrast the imposing figure on stage, wielding a sword or confronting a guillotine, with the fragile, aggressive guy behind the scenes, who is constantly attempting to find a balance between his art and his humanity. Snakes, blood, and macabre theatrics, enduring icons of Alice Cooper's persona, reflect the paradoxes of his existence. These aspects drew in viewers and established a genre, but they also concealed the hardships he went through on a personal level to maintain that image. Keeping up an air of invincibility while battling addiction, broken relationships, and the relentless drive to excel must be incredibly taxing. Even if his demons accompanied him into the wings, the stage both as a getaway and a battleground for Cooper. In the end, Cooper's legacy is proof that you can always come back from adversity. He went from being a famous rock musician to a figure of perseverance because of his capacity to rise above his own struggles. A tale of genius driven by struggle and an unrelenting quest for the miraculous has been inscribed into every serpentine twist, every guillotine plunge, and every spine-tingling tune in his life's work. The hardships that informed his work are what ensure its longevity, rather than the other way around. Shock and spectacle are only parts of Alice Cooper's narrative. The show focuses on the real people behind the masks, hidden fragility beneath the stage presence. That ambition, hardship, and the unwavering will to make a mark shape even the most legendary musicians is a sobering thought. As a testament to the intricacies of creation and the resiliency of the human spirit, Cooper's legacy goes beyond his genre.